Some stories of heroism are so incredible, so unbelievable, they just don't sound real. This is one of those stories. It's the true story of a champion athlete who just happened to be in the right place at the absolute worst time and made a choice that would change dozens of lives and his own forever. So let's dive into the story of Shavarsh Karapetyan.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're at Yerevan Lake in what was then Soviet Armenia. The date is September 16th, 1976. For Shavarsh Karapetyan, a world-class athlete, this day started like pretty much any other, with a routine 20-kilometer jog along the reservoir with his brother. But that routine was about to be absolutely shattered. Out of nowhere, there's this deafening crash. Karapetyan looks over and sees something just unthinkable. A public trolleybus has flown off a dam wall and is plunging into the cold, dark water, and it's sinking fast, taking every single person on board down with it. And this just lays out how impossible the situation really was. The bus was already 10 meters down. That's about 33 feet. The water, it was so polluted with raw sewage and churned up with silt from the bottom that visibility was basically zero. And trapped inside that sinking metal coffin were 92 terrified passengers. Now, for pretty much anyone else on the planet, this would have been a hopeless tragedy. But Shavarsh Karapetyan, he wasn't just anyone. By some unbelievable twist of fate, the man jogging by the lake that day was maybe the single most qualified person on Earth for this exact disaster. You see, he was a fin swimmer, and if you've never heard of it, just think of it as swimming, but supercharged. These athletes use fins to move with incredible speed and endurance underwater. And Karapetyan wasn't just a fin swimmer. He was, without a doubt, the best in the world. I mean, let's just try to grasp the scale of his dominance. He had won 17 world championships. 17. He had personally shattered 11 different world records. And to top it all off, by the age of 24, he'd already collected a staggering 37 gold medals. He was what they called a merited master of sports of the USSR, basically a living legend at the absolute peak of his game. All of that training, every record, every medal, was about to be put to the ultimate test. But this wasn't a race against a clock for a gold medal. No, this was a race against death itself, where the prize was a human life. Without even a second of hesitation, Karapetyan dove straight into that freezing, filthy water. He couldn't see a thing. He was operating purely on instinct, feeling his way down until he found the trolleybus. And then, with the incredible power in his legs, he kicked in the back window, shattering it, and creating the only way out. And he just got into this rhythm, this absolutely brutal cycle. He would dive down into the blackness, feel his way inside the bus, grab an unconscious person, swim back up to the surface, hand them off, and then, without a break, he'd go right back down again. He did this over and over, more than 20 times, in near total darkness, getting sliced up by broken glass with every single trip. The numbers here are just staggering. Out of 92 passengers, Karapetyan himself pulled 46 of them to the surface. His brother was there, helping get them to the shore. And in the end, despite everyone's frantic efforts, 20 of those people survived. 20 people who were alive only because a world champion happened to be jogging by that day. But an act of bravery this monumental, well, it doesn't come for free. It came at a devastating personal price. The hero who climbed out of that lake was not the same world champion who had dived in. He was rushed to the hospital, where he stayed for 45 long, agonizing days. The rescue had pushed his body far, far beyond its limits. So this is the trade-off. This is the sacrifice he made. He went from being a celebrated 11-time world record holder to a man suffering from severe cuts all over his body, double pneumonia from inhaling that contaminated water, and sepsis, a life-threatening blood infection. But the worst part? The damage to his lungs was so severe, it ended his athletic career. Just like that. It was over. But get this, and this detail just says everything about his spirit. Even with his body broken and his career finished, he insisted on competing one last time. And in that final race, fueled by who knows what, despite the pain, despite his damaged lungs, he set a new world record. What an incredible final act of defiance. Now, you think that would be the end of the story, right? A tragic hero. But for Shavarsh Karapetyan, heroism wasn't a single event. It seems like it was just part of his DNA. I mean, just look at this timeline. 2 years before the trolleybus incident, he single-handedly stopped a runaway bus from careening into a gorge, saving over 30 people. Then you have the rescue at Yerevan Lake. And then, years after that, in 1985, he rushes into a burning building to help firefighters pull people out, getting severely burned himself in the process. It's just an unbelievable pattern of selfless courage. But here's the crazy part. For his greatest act of heroism, he wasn't immediately celebrated. Soviet authorities actually suppressed the news of the disaster. His name only became famous in 1982, a full 6 years later, when a newspaper finally published an article called The Underwater Battle of the Champion and told his story to the world. Eventually, the recognition did come, and it was well-deserved. He received state medals, a UNESCO Fair Play Award. They even named an asteroid after him, 3027 Shavarsh. And in a really fitting tribute, he was chosen to carry the Olympic torch for the 2014 Winter Olympics, carrying a flame that he truly embodied. The story of Shavarsh Karapetyan really leaves us with this one powerful question. He gave up his health, his fame, his entire career, everything he'd worked for, to save people he didn't even know. What is that instinct inside some people that makes them run toward disaster, not away from it?